First exercises for the shoulder, we're going to start with stretches. These should all be done relatively lightly to start with. They're a good way of starting general mobilising, self-mobilising the shoulder for the patient, stretching some of the shoulder joints out and largely encouraging the head of the humerus, the top of the bone here, to sit better into the shoulder girdle, into the acetabulum. So the first one we're going to do, we're using this stick, and I'm going to be sitting down for this. And what we're doing is we're holding initially here. So imagine I'm an older person who's not got much movement. We've got them to the point where they can hold their arm to that position, holding a stick. The action is they're holding the stick firmly with a slight pushing down movement. So it's kind of, I'm actually pushing that into the floor, okay, on this carpeted floor. And then what I'm going to do from here to get the mobilisation with the shoulder is I'm going to lean forward. I'll show you the other arm in a moment. This is more for me to actually talk you through this. So you're going forward as far as it will go. So relatively, it's lifting the arm up in relation to the shoulder and to the torso. And because we're pushing down, it's engaging that bone up and into the acetabulum there. If I do this one here, you see the same thing, a bit more from this side. So it's this movement there. And obviously, as you get better, you'll be doing a bit further up. The idea eventually you go right to the very top and you're almost going all the way above your head. You want to do these really three, 4 times a day, 8, 10 times each time you do it. Okay. Second exercise, we're also going to use the stick, but there is a non-stick version of it. I don't mean non-stick, I mean without a stick. With this one, we're going to just stretch the shoulder girdle back. So this is stretching the chest and opening the shoulder up by just taking this bar and taking it as far back as we can. I've got reasonably flexible shoulders, so I can go quite a long way back there. As I go back, I'm getting a good stretch in my chest and the shoulder, front of the shoulder, particularly on the right, which is my slightly more gammy shoulder. But what I'm also doing, if you see from the back, is I'm squeezing the shoulder blades back and down as I do that. You can probably see that through this relatively tight top. You see how the shoulder blades come back and down, so they're moving across the rib cage, just there. Now, for someone that hasn't got that much movement, you can do this without the bar. You could just literally be doing this as much as you can. It is still getting some good movement in that shoulder girdle there, and we're still getting the same movement at the back. That movement of the shoulder blades really quite important. Okay. So our last exercise, again using the stick. We're going to use this stick almost like a rowing. We're going to start here. We're going to take this arm, goes directly backwards, goes that direction. There. So from behind you'll see it's going directly back as much as we can. And again, you want to do 8 to 10 of those. And that's your relatively light stretches that you can work into. So next we're going to move into dynamic exercises to strengthen and control the shoulder girdle better for the rehabilitating shoulder or prehabbing shoulders. Using an elastic band for this first one, what we're doing is we're putting it behind our back, about level with the bottom of our excuse me, shoulder blades, just there, and put our arms straight. So what our aim is to do is to bring the shoulder blades back in together here, and then to push up and forwards. So the shoulder blades are moving from central in my back to up and forwards. This is the anterior serratus doing most of this. There's other muscles involved, but that's largely the idea of it, that you're bringing the shoulder there. So from the side, you'll see me come from here, shoulders nice back and down, then up and forwards. You can see my shoulder blades and probably see the anterior serratus working there under my shoulder, around my shoulder blade area. You see from the back, shoulder blade together, up and through. Doing 6 to 10 of these with an elastic band that suits you or your patient, like that. You can do this against a wall, sometimes more challenging against the wall, not actually harder, but I think harder to teach the movement. It's easier with an elastic band. But if you're doing that against maybe a desk, for example, standing a little farther away than my hands reach, move into the desk, same straight armed position, shoulder blades together, and then we're pushing away, like that. So again, we're getting that movement there, the shoulder blades come together and then away, and that is engaging the anterior serratus and getting those shoulder blades moving well. If someone hasn't got the strength to do any form of elastic band, this is all they'll be able to do. And to be honest, even if they just did this movement, they're getting some movement there, which is going to be very useful for that rehabbing. Okay. Using the elastic band again, this time I've got it jammed in a door over here. We're going to do some movements, moving the shoulders in a posterior direction, thus backwards. Again, it's focusing a lot on getting the shoulder blades moving, moving back and round, which is opening up the shoulder girdle, opening up the chest, moving the clavicle as well. So the first one we're going to do, I'm going to go quite back here, quite a straight arm, and we're going from a forward shoulder position to pulling them back there as far as we can, but it's back and down like that. Ideally, you'd have an elastic band with a bit wider grip than this one, but the wider one I have doesn't fit through the door where the crack is there. So you're doing that movement then. If you can see that from behind, you see the shoulder blades coming back together like that, like that. And then another one that I found equally good, a bit nearer for this one, is stabilising the shoulder in that same position, and then this time you're bringing the arms down this way, there. So you're bringing them down and in like that. And again, what you're doing is you're squeezing the shoulder blades back in and down as you're doing that, just there. So we're strengthening all these back muscles, the lower rhomboids, and the other controlling muscles to some degree, the latissimus dorsi, controlling those shoulders back and down, which really helps, I find, for patients to improve their postures. They end up just more upright, which is then helping the shoulder to sit happier all along after they've rehabbed, prehabbed. Okay. Another exercise for opening up the shoulder girdle, particularly good for opening up the upper thoracic area as well, I've shown this on other videos, is to get into a position where your hands are like this, and you're trying to get your arms down your back, but doing it on a bench. You'll see what I mean. So again, on the floor, you could do this on your bed, a bit like praying before bed at night. Arms are just here, hands like that. What you're aiming to do is get your hands to the middle of your back by pushing your chest towards the floor. So that's opening up the joint capsule, stretching the anterior serratus, moving the shoulder blades around. Once you've done this 10 times, 3 times a day, I challenge you not to stand up half an inch taller, like that. Okay. We can also work our anterior serratus the same as we do with our elastic bands or against the desk. We can do it in almost a press-up position or an all-fours position. So the all-fours position, the easier of the two, but it then does mean you've got gravity assisting the work you're doing. Arms into this position, you're dropping your shoulders back so the shoulder blades together, and then pushing away. So again, that's working the anterior serratus and moving those shoulder blades across the back of the ribs like that. If you're strong enough, you can come up onto a press-up position, but you're not doing a press-up. You're going down and then up. So you've got all your body weight then doing that manoeuvre. Okay, like that. Okay. Welcome to my pull-up bar. Last 2 exercises, both done on a pull-up bar. First one is for the posterior movements we've done before. Only do this if you're strong enough, and obviously if you've got a pull-up bar. I've got my glass of the pull-up bar about shoulder width. I've got my arms up here, I'm hanging, and then pulling the shoulders back, there, like that. Like that. Do an 8 to 10. If you can't do 8 to 10, maybe you need a different exercise. On the same place, we can also do a really good stretch for the shoulders, but again, make sure you're ready for this. Shoulder width grip. Just putting all of our weight down, hanging like this. You're looking for a good 10 seconds minimum. With time, you can do a couple of minutes hanging like this. Really feel the joint capsule opening out, opening up this, shoulders underneath, rotating the shoulder all the way around, stretching the shoulder blades upwards, the scapula up, and the collarbone being moved all the way up as well. Okay.